Hello everyone. So Spider-Man 3 has had many different theories and rumours over the past couple of weeks, and in this video I'm going to be talking about what I want this movie to be. So I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, but Spider-Man is one of my favourite Marvel characters, especially in the MCU. And right now Spider-Man 3 is my most anticipated Marvel movie. This movie is currently planned to release in late 2021, and hopefully COVID doesn't change that. So the first thing I want to talk about is the SpiderVerse. Now I know some people really want the SpiderVerse movie, like live action, and with the casting of Doctor Strange in this movie and the fact that Doctor Strange 2 will be about the multiverse, a lot of people think this will be a SpiderVerse movie, but I personally don't think it will be. Okay, so Jamie Foxx was casted for this movie, and if you don't know, Jamie Foxx is the same guy who played the Blue Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So everyone decided to instantly think that Spider-Man and Smurf crossover was happening.
Smurf for your lives! Everybody ski down!
A Spider-Man movie crossover was happening with Electro going to the MCU and people wanting Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire crossover and that to be casted into that movie, but no. Jamie Foxx announced that this will be a new version of Electro, so most likely we won't be getting a Spider-Man crossover with all the different live-action Spideys, or a Spider-Man Smurf crossover in this movie. Okay, so now I'm going to discuss some villains I would want to see. So the villain who I think should be the main villain of this movie is Spider-Man's most scariest, most deadly, and most evil villain. This villain is so deadly that he's able to convince Peter and the whole world that he's a nice, friendly hero. And no, I'm not talking about Mysterio. This villain was into the SpiderVerse. Yes, that's right, the character who I think should be the main villain of this movie is Spider-Ham. Wait, Wikipedia says that Spider-Ham is a hero? Anyway, we already know that Jamie Foxx is going to be playing Electro again. But for some reason people think it will be the same Smurf version from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. But it has already been confirmed that it will be a different version of Electro, like I said before, and I'm hoping that he's a bit different and more similar to the Spider-Man PS4 game. The comic version of Electro with the starfish mask looks stupid to me, and the Smurf version doesn't bother me as much as some people, but I still think it could be better. In the Spider-Man PS4 game, Electro is a villain in it, and his design is definitely my favourite Electro design that I've seen. So since Electro will be in Spider-Man 3, I hope his design is similar to that with the yellow electric. Okay, the next villain is someone who I think would make sense to be in this movie, and that is Kraven the Hunter. I don't know too much about this villain, but what I do know is he's basically a bounty hunter. And in the end scene of Spider-Man Far From Home, Mysterio has that video exposing Peter and lying about Spider-Man killing him, so obviously everyone will be trying to arrest or kill Peter. So Kraven the Hunter would make sense to be in a villain in this movie going after Peter. I know a lot of people are a fan of this villain, and I think seeing a live action version of him would make a lot of Spider-Man fans happy, and also I'd like to see him even though I'm not a massive fan of him. Okay, so I think this movie should have 3 villains. Yes, I know Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 have failed when they tried to have 3 villains, but technically Spider-Man Homecoming has had 5 different villains, although 2 of them were in one scene cameos. In Homecoming you had Vulture as the main villain, Shocker as a side villain with a few scenes, Tinkerer as a side villain, and then Aaron Davis, who was a retired Prowler, and Scorpion both had one scene in that movie. In Spider-Man Far From Home, you had Mysterio as the main villain. They also had Morton Man, Hydro Man, and the 2 other Elementals. So the MCU has already proven that they know how to make a Spider-Man movie with multiple villains. So with Spider-Man Home 3, which I probably should have mentioned earlier, is rumored to be called Spider-Man Homesick. They could have it where Electro is the main villain, have Kraven as this movie's version of the Shocker, where they have 1 or 2 fights, And then the third villain of this movie, who I'm about to mention, could be this movie's version of the Tinkerer, just that they fight Spider-Man this time, since Tinkerer never actually fought Spider-Man in Homecoming. Okay, so there's two villains who I think could be this third villain. One of them is Scorpion, who we were introduced to in the end scene of Homecoming. So since he's already a part of the MCU, it would be easy to add him into this film. But I think they're saving him for a Sinister Six movie, which I'll talk about later. The second villain who I think would be cool to see is Rhino. Now, Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man 2 was bad, but I think the MCU could make a good version of him. Like Electro, have his suit be more like the Spider-Man PS4 game or even the comics, and not that Amazing Spider-Man 2 mech design with stupid guns and all that garbage. I think Spidey could have a battle with Rhino early or in the middle of this film once, and then be arrested, but he would still be a side villain for this movie, and then he could return for another movie in the future. Okay, so now that's the villains I would like to see in a Spider-Man 3 movie. Now on to another thing. So a lot of people want a Sinister Six movie, and I also do, but I think having it in this Spider-Man 3 movie would be way too soon. It's already rumoured that MCU Spider-Man 4 movie is in the works, and I think that would be a perfect time to have the Sinister Six. The main villain of that movie should be Green Goblin or Doc Ock, either one would work. And then one of them breaks Vulture, Scorpion and Rhino out of prison. And then Vulture could even bring back the Tinkerer, who could have a bigger role in this movie. And then for the final villain, they could either have it Mysterio, who has 3 ways of being brought back. One way is that they make it so Mysterio faked his death in Far From Home. If they do that, they'll probably have to show it in Spider-Man 3, but I don't think that's happened. A second way is that guy at the end of Far From Home who takes the USB, who I forgot his name, becomes a new Mysterio. And my third idea of how we could return is make him actually from a different Earth, and have Mysterio actually have powers, but still be a villain. Another villain who they could use is Chameleon, and have him be a Skrull, but I don't think that would happen. Okay, so yeah, that Sinister Six roster is really overpowered. So I think during this movie we could have it so Vulture saves Peter and helps him take down the Sinister Six, since in Homecoming he was only a villain to help his family, and he even protected Peter's identity in prison. So he's not an evil villain, he's just a kind villain, kinda, although he is kinda evil. But yeah, anyway, so halfway through or at the end of this movie, he could switch sides and save Peter, which I think would happen. And if we're looking way into the future, for a MCU Spider-Man 5, or which could be a Miles Morales movie, they could have Fisk and Prowler, like Fisk hires Prowler and then working together, and then also Silver Sable as an anti-hero, which I think that would be a great movie to happen, just I doubt we would ever get there, especially with Corona right now. Okay, so that is what I want to happen in Spider-Man 3 and 4 and 5, but anyway, mainly 3. Let me know how you feel about my ideas and if you agree or disagree, and let me know what you would like to see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and goodbye.